Hello, C9. I just watched Quantum Leap episode 12, Let Them Play. Now, I had already seen some rumblings about this, going woke earlier, and I was like, what are they talking about? Because they said the show was, woke in the beginning when they had Mason playing Ian and being non binary and having, an Asian lead because they're all racist, blah, blah. But they eventually just shut up because the show seemed to be good and people seemed to be enjoying it. So I sort of noticed the criticism sort of dropped off, and I was happy with that. This episode starts off really well. It shows Ben jumping into the body of a coach, and there's a girl who's hurt her ankle, and he pulls in, the bench warmer or whatever in, and she does really well. She gets the last score in, or whatever it's called, point scored or whatever. I don't know anything about sports, and they win, and everyone's cheering, and then people start booing, and we're like, why are they booing? And then we find out from Addison that the girl who shot the last point is trans, and also his daughter. So obviously that's the problem. Now, they set it up brilliantly because you just see her as a girl who wants to play, and she's brought in, and what would be the problem? Why would she be treated any differently? And you actually see her as she should be seen, as just a girl. They get the point in right away. Now, the only issue with this episode, I'll just get it out of the way, there's a moment where they get a little preachy, and they didn't need to, because you can put all the situations through and all the information through using the story and the characters without actually breaking the fourth wall and talking to the audience and talking, preaching basically. And they had a scene where a bunch of trans girls don't go into a group, and they had the parents, and one of the parents was speaking, and he gave a very impassioned sort of speech about how, you see boogeymen, we see, our children growing and learning who they are and so forth, standing up for themselves, and why would you stop that? Who would stand against that, and it's a beautiful speech, but it's very much fourth wall breaking to, the audience. And if you have an issue with this issue, there is a chance, if you just see these people and see these characters as they are, you're going to, open up your mind a little bit about the situation and what they go through. But as soon as you start sort of talking at the camera and preaching to people, you're going to alienate some of these people who you might have gotten to open their minds and think. So I don't think it's the best method. They could have made the same points through examples in the episode rather than having a little speech. But, they did. So, the only people who are going to get upset by that are transphobes and bigots anyway, so we shouldn't really care what they think, but if we can get them on our side, if that means having to be subtle, I think it's worth it. Because, we could change minds, we could open minds. That's one of the great things that Star Trek did that the new Star Trek doesn't do. And it does seem to be sort of the style of today, which is a bit heavy-handed, and sort of wanting credit, I think, for it, which is why some people sort of do that. So a little bit of criticism there, but the episode itself overall played out great. The issue, of course, was the pressure of being suddenly in the limelight. She was going to run away, and she was going to end up dead, and they would misgender the corpse and never find their daughter, basically. Now, the actress was Jocelyn. Was it Jocelyn? Yeah, Jocelyn Aguilera. She's a trans actress. She did a good job. She just really just had to be authentic and be herself. She's playing herself, so it's fine. She's probably not going to have a great career as an actress or anything, but she did a good job. And she didn't look wrong. She didn't look inappropriate. She fit on that team of those girls, and anyone sort of questioning why she wouldn't be able to play, really would have been just, prejudiced. Whereas some, I'm not even going to go into that whole discussion and how it does vary between individuals. Some people, and it's so not sorted and so a mess at the moment, trans girls in sports and how to manage it, because there are issues. There are genuine issues, and then there's just, the prejudices and that, and it's just a mess. But they don't go too far into that. They go into it a fair bit, and you get to see just the whole culture of trans people and the support groups and the families, and and you get to hear people's stories, and it's really interesting, and I loved it. I enjoyed it. They had another little bit on the side where they actually showed the person who spoke to Ben was Ian leaping into a trans poet who was writing poetry about having been occupied for like a week by a leaper. So, and it was Ian because she was drawing images of Ian. So we found out who the person who told Ben he had to go to the future was. So now we know Ian has been lying the whole time about this, unless he did it in the future and doesn't know that he went back in time. I guess I didn't think about that. Maybe he doesn't know what he does yet. But so that was interesting because I don't really enjoy the overall sort of story. I feel like it just sort of interrupts the individual stories each week sometimes. But this was sort of interesting because I didn't see that coming. So that was a little thing that was happening on the side. But overall, they basically they found her after she ran away. She went to a trans friend. They found her, and the issue was the reason why she ran in the first place was because they had agreed to never put her in the game. She could be in the team. She could practice privately. She could sit on the bench, but they agreed that she would never be put in. So the father was in trouble because he actually put her in, and she was devastated because she realised that she never had a chance. So she was sitting there fooling herself every week, thinking that she was going to get to play, and her dad let her do that. So she was betrayed. She did run away, but they managed to resolve it, and there was a lot of talk and so forth. But overall, she was saved. They resolved it. They moved on to the next leap. I enjoyed it. It was emotional, and